Hello and welcome to the Captain's Table. I'm your host, Dawn Deckman-Moeller, and we welcome our audience aboard the Captain's Table podcast. It's your passport to a captivating blend of insight and entertainment. The Captain's Table is a voyage through time and across topics where the truth is our North Star and laughter is the wind in our sails. Today, our guest is Anne Donovan. Anne Donovan had an amazing career with PwC where she started out with the firm as an auditor many years ago and ended her career just recently as PwC's Human Capital Transformation Leader, also known as PwC's People Experience Leader. Anne Donovan was responsible for strategy and innovation around culture change. During her successful career at the firm, she traveled the world, which brings us to the topic of our show today. Traveling Anne's World Tour 2025-2026. Welcome, Anne.
Thank you, Vicki. Thank you, Dawn. Excuse me. Yeah. Dawn and I go way back, and so I've known her as a couple different names.
Oh, that's yeah. Well, just don't invite. Yeah, just call me anything. Just don't call me late for dinner. I guess that's the old saying. But yeah, it's a fun fact. We grew up in Burbank together, and really, her nickname is Annie, and my nickname is Vicki. But today we're going to go by Anne and Dawn, and I'm so excited to have her here today. Some of the things that she's going to talk about are going to interest all of you to contact your travel agents when this show is done. So, Anne, tell me a little bit about, how your career led you to wanting to travel and live in a different city almost every month for over a year. I know you did a lot of traveling when you were with PwC and some work from home. Tell me a little bit about some of the highlights of those days for you.
Yeah. So I had an opportunity to move up in the firm. I started with Coopers & Lybrand. That was the predecessor firm to PricewaterhouseCoopers. And I started right after college. And I started the way most people start. I was an auditor, and then I was a tax person, which I really loved tax. But, I have a hard time keeping my opinions to myself. And I was one day expressing what I thought was being done wrong for people to our tax partner in charge. And he looked at me and said, "Why don't you just take care of it?" And that was my entree about 5 years into the firm into human resources. And, when I tell people, especially younger people, that I was with a firm for 38 years plus.
Wow.
They're like, that's just crazy. But why I was able to stay was I kept moving up and changing jobs in the firm. And so it kept my interest going. And when I had twins in 1996, I started traveling at 5 months. Now, call that a coincidence? I don't know. But I was pretty happy to get into a hotel room and not have any crying babies. And so I had an opportunity to take a national role, to certainly travel around the U.S. As my responsibilities progressed, when I got responsible for our people strategy, I really took off, quote, with respect to being able to travel to not only to clients to speak to them about our people journey, because I really do think we were ahead of the game, but also to our firms in other countries. And so I spent quite a bit of time in India getting us set up with a few things there. Certainly all, European countries. My kids used to say that mom goes to a country and never gets to breathe the air. And that meant that I would fly in, you get in a taxi or a car, you go to the hotel, you sleep, you get up, you get in a taxi, you go to the office, you're in the office for 2 or 3 days, and then you're back to a hotel. Back to the airport. And so one of the things that I really wanted to do was to be able to go places in my retirement where I could stay for a while and really understand the flavor of a city. So that was really the impetus behind my whole big adventure that I'm on now.
And you could breathe the air like you're getting an opportunity to do.
I'm breathing the air. That's right.
Breathing the air. I do remember being at one of your homes in Burbank when you were traveling, when the kids were still young. that you had a couple clocks on your kitchen wall. Tell our audience what clocks you had and why.
Oh, that was my favorite thing. I saw it, I think, in a magazine. I bought 2 big old school clocks, and I had them on the kitchen wall, and one said home underneath it, and one said mom. And so my husband would change the mom clock to wherever I was, so that when in the morning, when everybody was getting ready for the day, my kids knew kind of where I was in my life, and was I 3 hours ahead? Was I going to call them that night? What the story was. So it was really kind of fun. I loved having that. It was fun.
I just love that. So, what were some of the highlights in your travels with the firm?
I think India was my biggest highlight. I had the opportunity to go maybe 4 or 5 times.
Goodness.
And we were setting up a service delivery center in Kolkata. And we had already done some work in the U.S. setting up that kind of center. And so I got to go and work with our Indian firm and really get our staff set up. And I remember so fondly many of them get set up and understanding what we were doing. And so we got to a point where we were ahead of the curve from the other firms and able to send some of our more process work to India and have it done, certainly at a more inexpensive cost, but also at a different time zone, et cetera. So we really streamlined our audits and our taxes to help our clients. And it was so exciting. Can I tell you a little story about one of my India trips?
That's what we're here for.
Okay. So I grew up Catholic, and Mother Teresa always fascinated me. And of course, I was spending all that time in Kolkata, which is where she did a lot of her work. So I decided I had to stay over a weekend once, and I decided I wanted to go see where Mother Teresa did her work. So I had been assigned a driver. I led a very cushy life when I was working for the firm because safety was always top of mind and comfort for our people. So I asked my driver if he would take me to the Mother Teresa house on a Sunday. I wanted to go to Mass. So I went in, and my first thing I remember is I was a little late, and there were some nuns sort of yelling at me.
Well, that was just like when we went to Catholic school in Burbank, right? Nothing changes.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. I was accustomed to that. And so I got into this room, and it was kind of like a church hall, and everyone was sitting on the floor. So I had to take my shoes off really quick and slide in on the floor so as not to be noticed, which of course I was noticed. And went through the Mass, and I was sort of leaning against this sort of marble thing, but I didn't really pay attention to it until we stood up at the Mass. And I realized that I had been leaning against Mother Teresa's grave, which was right there in her mother house. And I was like, oh, dear. I patted the top of it and said, sorry, Teresa.
You were leaning on her on her crypt?
Yes, exactly. And it was funny when we did stand up for the first time. I, of course, was the tallest person in the room, the blondest person in the room. So I didn't go unnoticed, but it was a fabulous experience.
Oh, Anne, thanks so much for sharing that. And I'm sure that's going to be one of many stories that you will write in your memoirs.
Yes.
I remember also something that you did that no one was doing. Goodness, work from home didn't start till the pandemic era, but a long time ago, you just decided, well, I'm going to work from home and I'm going to do it in a couple different beautiful cities in California. Tell us about those journeys.
Yeah. So, one of the things PwC was ahead on is we did a generational study. And we learned, it was the largest generational study at the time. We did it with the University of Southern California. And we learned that millennials, who were our up-and-coming staff, the 3 most important things to millennials were, and, proven with numbers, were a good relationship with their supervisor, a good relationship with their team, and also flexibility. So we jumped, I was lucky enough that the firm really listened. We jumped on the flexibility train fast. And we started giving permission, which at the time it was just didn't exist,
Right.
to work from home. We got to work with your team and figure it out, work from home. So I, of course, wanted to lead the way. So at one point, and this really did start my travel bug, Dawn,
Yeah.
I rented a condo in Lake Tahoe, which I like to call the happiest place on earth.
Yes, ma'am.
And I was right on the lake, and I went for 2 months. And it was transformative for me. I still had to travel, but I just drove down the hill to the Reno airport and did my travel. But when I landed, I got to go back up to Tahoe. And I'm telling you, I realized then that I could really do anything. I could go anywhere, and I could keep working, and I could start enjoying the places where I was. So that trip in itself, I then decided to move to San Francisco when my kids went to college. I just moved for 2 years. I rented my house out. I came up here again. I worked, I flew, I did all the stuff. But when I didn't fly, I was home in a beautiful apartment overlooking the bay. And I was in heaven. So those two events really got me thinking about, I want to see other things and how people live. And I don't want my life to go by, especially since I was working so hard. I didn't want it to go by and have to wait till retirement. So I started being very creative about where I was working. And I mean, I'm proud to say I didn't skip a beat. And, when you're on the West Coast and you're working with an international firm, I was up early wherever I was, but that was fine with me because I was in my pajamas with a cup of coffee.
Well, I think I remember one morning we had the opportunity years ago to stay with Anne at her home or her apartment in San Francisco. And a few of us were going to go to the Muir Woods. And we're like, come on, Annie, finish your coffee. Let's have breakfast. And she goes, I can't go. I have to work. And I'm like, but you're still in your PJs. She goes, no, I have to work today. So we all went to the Muir Woods while Annie stayed back and did her job. You are truly a pioneer of the work from home, which wasn't even an acronym then.
No, and I am very proud to say that when that horrible pandemic hit, the firm was ready. We had them ready, my team and I, to work from home. Yeah. And we didn't skip a beat as a firm either. Very proud of that.
You should be very proud of that because that was not an easy challenge for corporations because I was working for a global company at that time. So what a great opportunity that you had with the firm to be able to pioneer and be part of such great leadership at that time and innovation for your company. You should be very, very proud. I know, too, I think you also spent quite a bit of time in New York City while you were with the firm, so that I remembered also.
Oh, my home away from home. Mm-hmm. In fact, at one point I moved there for a year. I had taken a big job and some things were happening in life, and I just decided I had to get my kids closer to me because I had just taken a big promotion. We spent a year in New York, and I'm proud to say that my daughter went to college in New York. After we moved back, we went to high school in LA, etc. She went to college in New York, and she's still there, and it'll be 10 years this year that she will be in New York City. So I'm very proud that I think I gave my kids a broader view than just sort of the nirvana of California.
Well, I agree. She's a chip off the old block, I would say. We're going to come back and take a very quick break for our sponsor. Stand by for just a moment.
Your addiction could cost you everything. Your job, your children, your loved ones, maybe even your life. Face it, you need help. Call Better Addiction Care now. It's time to end your addiction to drugs and alcohol. Help is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, no matter who you are, where you're located, or your financial situation. Our network of treatment centers can guide you before it's too late and you hurt yourself or your loved ones again. We're Better Addiction Care and can help put an end to your addiction. Plus, your insurance may cover up to 100% of costs. Don't wait another moment. Your life could depend on making the call right now. There's still time to get back what addiction has taken away. This could be the most important call of your life.
Call 800-247-0941. 800-247-0941. 800-247-0941. That's 800-247-0941.
Fans of The Andy Griffith Show are raving about a brand new streaming series.
Chris Stone? What are you doing back here in Mayberry?
Your neighbors know they're living next door to a famous movie star yet?
He hasn't answered any of my calls.
That girl's headed right for Heartbreak Alley.
An old-fashioned love story in a modern-day Mayberry.
Yes!
A streaming series for the whole family.
Who's the only TV character named after two insects? And bee, of course.
Grandma's cat ate all the laxatives, and, well, we've got ourselves a situation.
Crazy, right?
Don't take any wooden nickels. Wooden nickels. That's a good one.
Those low-down, dirty buzzards.
It's an honor to be here. In fact, at my age, it's an honor to be anywhere. It's a Christmas miracle. Bravissimo.
We don't know what you're missing.
Mayberry Man, the series. Now available on Prime Video.
These people are living in another world.
For anyone who's worried about back taxes, has not filed tax returns, and doesn't know what to do next, stop and listen. Not filing your taxes can have severe consequences, especially in this political climate. Now that COVID is over, the IRS is getting aggressive, massively increasing enforcement and collection efforts. With politicians making all sorts of promises, especially when it comes to taxes, hiding and not dealing with your taxes will cause you harsh legal and financial ramifications. But right now, the IRS offers forgiveness and writes off a massive amount of tax debt. The Tax Doctor offers a free service that helps people get out of IRS collections and back in good standing with the government. Don't hide or bury your head in the sand. Take advantage of our free service. Call now to learn more. 800-368-1307. 800-368-1307. 800-368-1307. That's 800-368-1307.
Welcome back to the Captain's Table. So, Anne, tell your audience where you have been, where you are going. We wanted to do this interview a few months ago, but we're doing it now. So let's hear your agenda.
Okay. So excited. So I packed my apartment up. I was in Newport Beach at the time. I had sold my house. I guess that was one thing that I want to say. Is when I retired at age 62, my financial advisor said, at some point you're going to need to sell your house. And for many of us who have homes in California, we've seen a lot of appreciation over the years. So I rented it for a while, but then I sold it and I pocketed that money. So that's sort of a key factor to this.
Okay.
I left Newport Beach on April 1st and I headed out and I drove from Los Angeles to Halifax, Nova Scotia. And I was never my family did not take road trips. We were not a road trip family. My father owned his own business. We had to kind of stay close to home. And so I got to see the country. And I then spent a month in Halifax, loved it. I dropped my dog in New York. That's a whole other story. But I dropped my dog in New York with my daughter. I got to be a month in Halifax. Then I got to be 3 weeks in Maine before I picked my dog back up, and we drove a different route coming back. We drove 11,200 miles, my dog and me.
Oh, my gosh.
And we saw everything. I did all the stuff you were supposed to do. You know, I went to Mount Rushmore. I went to Cooperstown. I'm a big baseball fan. I got to put my little girl in doggy daycare, and I did Cooperstown. I got to see Mount Rushmore, which was awe-inspiring. I was all over this place. I stayed north mostly. That was just my preference. And then I landed in San Francisco about 5 weeks ago. I've been in San Francisco since then. I am staying in the most beautiful apartment of a friend who's living somewhere else now.
Wonderful.
And then now my big adventure starts. That might sound like a big adventure, but big adventure starts. I am spending September in Alaska.
Okay. What city?
I'm going to Juneau, Alaska. I'm going to also go to Anchorage, Fairbanks, and the Arctic Circle. I have plans with a dear, dear friend from high school.
Wonderful.
Then I fly to Quebec City, and I'm there in the month of October, which I don't know why I picked Quebec City other than I wanted to be in 2 French-speaking cities, and I just figured Quebec would be unbelievable in October. So I picked it. Then I'm going to London in November. I'm going to be in Paris in December and January because I'm very fancy. Then I'm going to be in Galway in February. I'm going to pick another city in Ireland in March, and then I'm going to hopefully finish up in New York in April to round out the year. Although New York's looking pretty expensive. That's the only 2 months I don't have booked yet are March and April. And I'm so excited.
So let me ask you, why did you choose these particular cities, if you don't mind?
Yeah. So I again, always wanted to do the road trip, and I wanted to go to Canada just to, again, be in a different country. I could have gone into, someplace in the East Coast, but I decided to go to Canada.
And French speaking.
Then, French speaking in Quebec, for sure. Then I'm obsessed with Alaska, mostly from television shows.
That's great.
I love watching people live off the land and deal with the elements. And now, mind you, I won't be living off the land, but I'm going to get close by an Airbnb in Juneau, Alaska. I just want to see the beauty. I cannot wait.
I wonder if you're going to be there. Again. Oh, I'm sorry. I wonder if you're going to be there when the Aurora Borealis, I don't know what time of year they happen in the northern.
So one of the things that I have planned is my dear friends are going to meet me in Anchorage.
Yes.
And we're going to take a train through Denali National Park to Fairbanks. And then from Fairbanks, we're going to get in a tour van, and we're going up to the Arctic Circle, and that is where we're going to see the Northern Lights.
It's going to be great. Really is.
I know.
Yes, yes.
And then London and Paris, are kind of a duh for me because I've been to both places several times, but always for work. Right. So I haven't had a chance to wander around London and wander around Paris.
Or breathe the air. You haven't been able to breathe the air.
The air.
Yes.
Exactly. And also, I'm a little bit of a Christmas nut. I love Christmas decorations. And so what I found out was London decorates for Christmas mid-November because they don't have Thanksgiving to deal with. And then Paris, of course, will be all dolled up. So I am going to get to see both cities decorated for Christmas. And for me, that just sounds fabulous.
I love that. We're going to take a very quick break for our sponsors and come back to find out why you want to spend a lot of time in Ireland. So stand by, audience. We'll be right back.
This important national healthcare update is brought to you by the Hearing Helpline. Now, you can make a free phone call and save big over what you'd pay at a doctor's office for hearing aids. Plus, this offer comes with a 1-year warranty. And if you call in the next 10 minutes, shipping is 100% free. We have a nationally known hearing aid that has improved the hearing of thousands of happy customers. And you'll pay a fraction of retail hearing aids prices. These outstanding hearing aids are nearly invisible. You can even use them to answer your cell phone. And they come with a 45-day money-back guarantee. You have nothing to lose and better hearing to gain. I urge you to improve your hearing for you and your loved ones and call the Hearing Helpline now. 800-208-2172. 800-208-2172. 800-208-2172. That's 800-208-2172.
Ready to make your brand stand out? At Amplify AI Media, we combine the power of artificial intelligence with creative expertise to elevate your marketing strategy. Our AI-driven approach ensures that every decision is data-backed, every campaign is targeted, and every result is impactful. We amplify your brand's voice louder and clearer than ever before. Amplify AI Media, where innovation meets precision. Visit amplifymedia.ai. Why settle for ordinary when extraordinary is within reach?
Listen up, fellow timeshare owners. If you're a timeshare owner and you want out at all costs, you're done, frustrated, tired of wasting money, you don't use the darn thing. Get out now. Hire the best Bulldog timeshare cancellation team in the business. Their in-house legal team, headed by a timeshare cancellation lawyer, can help you fight the biggest and baddest companies out there that sell timeshare. At some point, you were using your timeshare, but now you're not, and you're tired of wasting money. Before you go to the poorhouse, Call right now and learn how you can stop the maintenance fees and put more money back in your pocket. Their services cost you a lot less than you think, and you'll save a lot of money over time. Call the Timeshare Exit Hotline now. It's a free consultation.
800-879-1145. 800-879-1145. 800-879-1145. That's 800-879-1145.
Welcome back to the Captain's Table. I'm your host, Dawn Deckman-Moeller, and we have Anne Donovan with Anne's World Tour Traveling Anne on today. So happy to have you here, Anne. We were talking about some of the reasons why you chose the cities on your 2-year agenda. Let's kind of move into Ireland and why you chose some of these towns. Or why are you going to Ireland? Are you Irish?
Anne Marie Donovan, yes, ma'am. I find that I used to think when I was younger and I knew everything, why do these people hang on to their heritage? Like, okay, fine, you're Irish, whatever. That's truly how I felt. Well, the dear Lord has shown me the error of my ways, and I become more Irish with each day that goes by. I'm interested in my heritage. I'm interested in being around Irish people. I spent some time in Ireland. I went on a 2-week trip long ago with a friend. And I remember walking into a pub, and I'll tell you, that's where everything happens, is in a pub in Ireland, and looking around and thinking, I'm related to these people. Like, they looked like my family so much. And it gave me chills. And I have a sister who just went to Ireland. This is the first time. I said, look around, you're going to see Dad. And she called me. She said, I cannot believe this.
I love that, Anne. That's so sweet.
So I just can't wait to be with people that I'm related to. My great-great-grandparents. But I just feel such a kinship with Ireland and with Irish people. So Dawn, I am a sober member of Alcoholics Anonymous.
Okay.
And I've already spoken to my sponsor about the fact that I plan to be in pubs everywhere I go in Ireland, because that's where you talk to people. And she and I have agreed that's going to be an okay thing. So I just can't wait to sit myself down at a bar stool and start talking to people.
I love that, Anne. You're going to end up writing some type of a memoir about this trip, how I found my family in Ireland. In preparing for a trip like this is broad and is long. Traveling on your own, I was always kind of curious about that. I know you're kind of peppering in visitors, but so far, I think you were on your own in Nova Scotia. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and that worked out. How did you feel about that? Were you lonely?
I was not lonely. I'm really good on my own, but I will also say, now that we've already, I've broken my anonymity with respect to AA, I have meetings I can go to in these cities.
That's wonderful.
And that, for me, is a built-in community. And so, when I get to Quebec, one of the first things I'll do is find, hopefully an English-speaking meeting, and I'll go. And from there, and preferably a women's meeting, just because, what's better than meeting a bunch of women?
Sure.
And I'll get tips on where to go and, invitations for coffee and all of that stuff. And so it's really sort of a cheat sheet for me. It's a built-in community wherever I go. And so far, no, I haven't been lonely one minute.
I remember when you were talking about doing this trip, a few of us gals were just, really amazed that you were putting this together and excited. And I think it was maybe 3 weeks later, I thought, well, what is she going to do with her dog? And I think I reached out to you. I said, where is Margaret going? I mean, you have a dog. Tell me about the journey with Marge. That's her nickname, audience.
My little Margaret Elizabeth Donovan. She's Irish too, by the way.
Of course.
And so I had a great plan to leave Margaret with my brother. My brother was sort of declining in health a little bit. His eyesight was going, etc. And he loved Margaret. So that was the original plan, was I was going to leave Margaret with John. And my sweet brother came and picked her up. And this is hard to talk about, but he got admitted to the hospital as soon as he got back. In fact, it was a little funny. One thing about Irish people is we find humor in everything, including death. And my brother called me and said, "No, I don't want you to worry about Margaret, but she's in a boarding place and I'm in the hospital."
And
John, I'm not
this.
worried about Margaret. What the heck is going on?
But you hadn't even left for Nova Scotia. You hadn't even left California yet. Your apartment.
I hadn't even had the movers hadn't even come yet.
Right.
So as it turns out, my poor dear brother had pulmonary fibrosis, which we did not know about, and he got very, very sick. And I'm proud to say that I drove up the coast. I got to Portland, and I got to spend a good week and a half with him in the hospital. My sisters came. Margaret came. That ICU there at Kaiser was amazing. They let Margaret come in every day. She'd hop up on the bed with him, and he had a very, lovely end of life surrounded by his family and his friends. And that's how Margaret ended up in the car with me. I looked at her. I said, "Well, girl, we're going to go to Nova Scotia, or we're going to go to New York, I should say." Wow. And I did my share of crying. I know my dear friends, including Dawn, were on the phone with me. And,
yes.
I did my share of crying, but I firmly believe that everything is meant to be. And so I know John's in a happy place with my parents and my sister, and Margaret and I got to do our big road trip.
And again, my condolences to you and the family. He was a wonderful man and had a wonderful family, and we were all shocked. There's no doubt about that. So Annie and Marge forged on cross country. So the two of you were in Halifax together. And
no, okay, sorry, Dawn, I didn't finish answering your question. I apologize. I dropped her in New York with my daughter.
Oh, yes.
And because I didn't want to try to take her across the border into Canada, I thought that was going to be kind of a hassle.
Okay.
So my Catherine took care of her, and it didn't take long to realize that Catherine, who is the mayor of New York City practically, because she knows so many people.
She is a producer of an upcoming film.
Yes, I'm very proud of her. That was going to cramp her style.
Mm-hmm.
Then my niece took her in Connecticut, and Margaret decided she didn't like my niece's dog. And so I picked Margaret up in Connecticut. I said, "Well, girl, let's drive back." So there we went. Off we went. I'm so grateful, though, that I have a very dear friend who was my dog walker in Newport Beach, and she has taken Margaret from me, and Margaret is happy as a clam, walking in the sunshine and being loved to death. So luckily, I came up with a solution for that.
Oh, I know that, Anne. It's really the Traveling Anne show, and where is Marge?
Exactly.
Yes, it has been like that. I mean, you just don't know what's going to happen. So tell me some of the other things that you have to do to prepare to not have a house. I mean, we have personal documents, our insurance. You've talked about your AA meetings. You got that figured out. What are some of the other things you had to do?
Well, one of the things I did the last time my daughter came and visited me is I got my important documents, just the key ones, my will, my trust. I'm an executor on a couple of other estates. I got all of that together, things that I thought I would need to get together very quickly. And in fact, I'll tell you a story. I have a transgender son, Dawn, as you know.
Yes.
And as I was packing up, I came across his original court papers. And I thank God through that in my important documents, sent him to New York with my daughter. And recently my son has needed that piece of paper. And I said to him, "I got you covered, buddy." And so we got that into his hands. So that was just the luck of the draw. I stored my stuff. I really looked around my apartment and said, what do I want to pay to store?
Right.
And what should I give away? So I did both of those things. I found a great moving company that got my stuff stored for a pretty reasonable price. I talked to my insurance guy. We upped my insurance during my road trip. He said, you're going to be in the middle of nowhere. Let's get you covered even more.
Sure. And international, you'll be on
International, I had to figure out, health insurance. Made sure I was going to be covered when I was out of the country. You know what? One of the toughest things to figure out has been my prescriptions.
Okay.
I take some medicine that's prescribed monthly, and think about it. Like, I don't have a home. I don't have an address. I don't. You
don't have a home. You don't have a home pharmacy.
Right. And so I have luckily figured out. I went on to a prescription delivery service that delivers 3 months at a time. And can you believe that I have figured out so far how to get my prescriptions to my Maine, to New York with my daughter. This company allows me to change the address at a whim. I've gotten some months here in San Francisco. I've got everything counted out so I can barely make it until my daughter arrives in London for Thanksgiving. So that has been a little bit of a logistical nightmare, but I figured it out.
Yeah, you just don't think about all the things you need to button up.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
And you know, and in anything, how people can have access easily to documents that might be needed, like your son.
Yeah, exactly. Or, or God forbid, one of the estates that I'm executor on, I just couldn't have something in storage and have to find it. So, I think because I took so much time to think about this stuff, every time I came up with an idea, I wrote it down, and then I started to research, see if I could figure it out. And so far, so good.
Well, you kind of talked about earlier where you sold your home and, giving you some opportunities to do what you're doing today, not having a mortgage, not paying rent, utilities, things like that. So monetarily, is this plan so far working out for you, or is it something that you could say maybe someone that was on maybe more of a budget, it could work out for them too?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I had to give up the apartment. I could not afford to keep a place and do this stuff. So the budget that I was paying for rent became my Airbnb budget. That has worked out pretty well. We were pretty close. In fact, the woman whose apartment I'm staying in right now for free, she helped me find my Airbnbs. She's a master travel planner. And at one point, I wrote a note to her. I said, "Hey, take it down a little bit." She was showing me stuff that was out of my budget. She said, "Yeah, but you get to stay in San Francisco for free." So that was one of her selling points because she knew I could stay in her apartment. I'll tell you, the most expensive part so far has been the driving across country and back, because even though I stayed in budget hotels, let me put in a plug for Holiday Inn Express. I'm telling you,
do it.
I stayed there every night of the 11,000 miles. I knew what I was going to get. I knew what the room was going to look like. I knew they would accept Margaret. They clearly state all of that ahead of time. It was the most comfortable, safe, I felt, place because I was so familiar with each place I walked into. And it saved me. But even staying at that level of a hotel, the two cross-country trips did cost more than my rent. I could say that. So that's where I have gone over budget. Now I've got to recoup a little on my credit cards.
So also in thinking, and I love the Holiday Inn Express, they really do a great job. Very well branded. Do you have AAA? I mean, anything extra for your vehicle in case something happens?
Yes, so I have.
If a buffalo would have hit you while you were in Yellowstone, I don't know.
I saw them. They're on my website. Oh my gosh, I saw buffalo up close. Margaret was so excited. Yes, I have AAA. I've got the kind of, the best coverage they have, so I can always get rescued. My insurance guy upped my insurance coverage with respect to being out on the road. I did have one problem with my car, and that was on the way back, almost home, just outside of Salt Lake City. A rock hit my windshield, and it cracked. And I was panicked. I called the repair people. I explained what was happening. It was 4th of July weekend. They were like, "Nope, we can't see it." Anyway, they assured me that it was safe to drive, and I made it all the way home. But boy, that crack spread. So that was the only real problem I had with my car that whole time. Other than that, my health insurance is going to be fine. And so again, so far, fingers crossed, toes crossed, everything is working out.
I love that. And we're going to take a very quick break again for our sponsors. And we're going to come back in and hear a little bit about some of the future trips Anne is taking, some highs and lows, and some of the great moments she's had this far, and maybe a few of the worst experiences. I don't know. Please stand by.
Is diabetes keeping you from enjoying life's special moments? At US Med, we understand the challenges you face, and we're here to help.
With US Med, I can finally manage my diabetes without it managing me.
US Med offers a wide range of services to simplify your diabetes care. Personalized care plans, convenient access to cutting-edge diabetes tech, and knowledgeable support. Plus, we'll check your insurance so your diabetes care may be covered at little or no cost to you.
With US Med, I feel confident and control of my diabetes. I can finally live my life to the fullest.
Don't let diabetes hold you back. Choose US Med and experience better birthdays, better adventures, better anniversaries, and better everything. Call now. US Med. Better service, better care. 800-659-7805. 800-659-7805. 800-659-7805. That's 800-659-7805.
Are you interested in financial technology or science topics? How about underreported issues? If so, check out the news media outlet, UCast News and UCast Studios. That's www.ucaststudios.com.
Are you confused about Medicare? Center for Healthcare Rights is here to help. The Health Insurance Counseling and Advocacy Program, or HICAP, offers LA County residents free, unbiased information to guide you through Medicare options, enrollment, and benefits. To schedule your free counseling session, call us at 1-800-434-0222. That's 1-800-434-0222, or visit healthcarerights.org. Center for Healthcare Rights. We help people navigate Medicare.
Okay, we are running a car drive right now to help veterans all across America. So if you have an old car, truck, or van, even a motorcycle or an RV sitting around, you can right now give it away and help the vets. They really need your help. And your car will help support the vets and their families. And guess what? You even get a tax donation. Plus, we'll even come and pick up your car for free. And all you've got to do is pick up your phone right now and make a free call. Now is the perfect time to do something good for the vets. Give back to the vets right now for all they've done for this country. And your old car can really help them. So call the Veterans Car Donation Program right now for free pickup of your vehicle. Help the vets and help your taxes at the same time. Call right now.
800-890-1032. 800-890-1032. 800-890-1032. That's 800-890-1032.
Welcome back to the Captain's Table. I'm your host, Dawn Deckman-Moeller, and we have Anne Donovan with Traveling Anne, Anne's World Tour 2025-2026. We have been learning so much about how to do a trip like this. And you're somewhat homeless. I mean, you don't have an apartment, you don't live in an RV, and you don't have a house anymore. You're just Traveling Anne.
I'm out there on my own.
And you're doing it on your own.
I'm doing it. I have felt a couple of times homeless. And that is a term I do not use lightly, because there are people out there who have a horrible time. But I have felt rudderless a few times, especially after my brother died. I think if I still had my place in Newport Beach, I probably would have headed home. I was, sort of beside myself.
Devastated.
But I didn't have a choice. I had to keep going. And I'll tell you another time when I got home from the 11,200 miles with Margaret Elizabeth Donovan.
I wrote that down.
I was exhausted. I was out of shape. Let me tell you how a road trip goes with the dog. I never planned to drive more than 4.5 hours of actual driving because I needed stops there for her.
Yes.
What I determined was God love McDonald's. Mm-hmm. They always are clean. They have a nice restroom for me. There's almost always some landscaping with some grass, and then I could drive through. So let me tell you the shape I was in when I got back to Los Angeles.
Not very good.
Not good.
Yes.
There was not much walking, not much eating right. I'm telling you, I had to get up to San Francisco. I've been walking this city like a crazy person because I had to try to get myself back in shape. I'm feeling very rested now, and I've been walking a lot, so I'm ready to take on Alaska.
Well, there you go. And I know even friends of mine who are Uber drivers, and even when we've done long car trips, you get out of the car and you feel a little dizzy.
Oh,
a little windy. There's a funny little thing, kind of a slight vertigo that you feel when you've been driving like that.
But I could feel my 67-year-old hips and knees were talking to me very loud by the end of the day.
But I'm so proud that you got to go cross country like that, Anne, and see so many of the beautiful sights in the United States of America. A lot of places that I have not seen yet and looking forward to seeing. So some of your highs and lows, I'm going to look back at your itinerary here, which I do, and shared it with me, her share file. Halifax looked absolutely beautiful. My sister lives in Bangor, Maine, but that is an area that I'd love to see sometime. What was give me just a top moment, top best, worst in Halifax?
I think the location of my Airbnb, I was 10 minutes, maybe 15 max, of walking down to the waterfront. The weather was beautiful, chilly, which is right up my alley. I could walk down there and then I could walk back up and get some exercise. I loved walking around Halifax. It was absolutely beautiful. And of course, the Canadian people are wonderful people. So that was a highlight for me for sure. I would say the next, I'm going to go highlight. I'm going to go 2 more highlights. And then I got to think of, I don't know if I've had any lows.
And if you don't have a low moment, that's fine.
Going to Cooperstown, Don, I'm going to do a plug for my father, Maurice Emmett Donovan, another Irishman. He played right before World War II. He was owned by the Chicago Cubs, and he played AAA baseball for them. And in 1944, I think it was, the Cubs put all of their AAA players who had been serving the country in their World Series program. And so I went to Cooperstown. I went into the Bart Giamatti Library. I talked to 2 young interns there. I had them pull up that World Series program, and I opened the page, and there was my dad's name.
Oh, goodness.
And I had chills to think that my father's name is printed in the Baseball Hall of Fame. Was such a highlight. I did so much talking to my dad during that time, hoping he was smiling down at that experience.
Did you know that? Did you know that prior to this?
I did know that. Before my dad died, I was able to get my hands on, thanks to a friend, on that program and show him. And then I think the last thing, Dawn, was Mount Rushmore. I was in awe.
I've never been there.
Too. Margaret couldn't believe it.
Margaret couldn't believe it. Why, Mommy, why are there faces in the rocks? Oh, my goodness.
I was really in awe. I thought it was breathtaking.
I love that. It's a beautiful country.
And let me add a plug, the Crazy Horse Memorial as well. The Crazy Horse.
My God. Now, I've not seen it. And I follow Traveling Anne on her Instagram account. I'm just mesmerized by that. When it is finished, amazing. I mean, I don't even have any words to describe how spiritual and beautiful it is.
Private donations for the Crazy Horse, and I of course made one because I thought this is so good for people to see. It was amazing.
Yes, I love that. I know that you had, I think because Marge didn't get along with your niece's dog, you were in Maine, and I do recall seeing one thing Anne would do for us girlfriends of hers, friends would do a little video of her Airbnb where she's staying at, and we all kind of commented on, you might want to sleep downstairs because it was a metal spiral staircase up to the bedroom loft. And some of us, unbeknown to you, has said, maybe the trip was cut just a tad bit short because she might have not survived that Airbnb.
Well,
tell us about that. And why?
Well, thank God I'm sober. right?
Yeah. No. Yep. Absolutely.
There was no drunk climbing the stairs.
Oh my gosh.
And I'll tell you, those stairs, I told my daughter who came to see me in Maine, I said, these stairs are going to kill me. It was such a reward to get up to the top and see a beautiful view. But I'm telling you,
the bathroom,
I had to really
bathroom was downstairs.
Yes, that is correct.
That is correct, 100%. Yeah, so I know that you had to, skedaddle out of there a little bit earlier because you had to go get Marge before.
I had to make sure Margaret didn't eat my niece's dog.
Exactly.
And I think that was a blessing. That was a blessing.
Well, that's what and you got to spend, because of that, some extra time in San Francisco.
That is correct. I got here early and the apartment was waiting for me. I am right now looking over the entire city of San Francisco from this apartment, and I could not be more grateful to my dear friend, who is also named Margaret.
It's just amazing. So let me ask you, and I want to get back to some of the journeys you're going on, but, when you finish this journey, what are you going to do?
I have news, Dawn.
Okay.
I'm moving to San Francisco.
Okay, hang on. Time out. You're moving to San Francisco when you get back from Ireland, but how does all this happen? Tell me.
Well, I am up here again, an AA story, and I hope this isn't boring people, but I attended a Zoom AA meeting for 5 years.
Okay. And
that meeting was based up here. And so I walked into this city, which was a completely different experience than when I lived here in 2018-19. And I probably have 50 women that I know up here.
Oh.
And many of them are retired. And I have something to do, as my dear friend who just visited me up here said, you are busier than I am these days. I get to go to meetings. I get to go to coffee. I get to go to dinner. Tomorrow we have a meeting that we go to, and then we all go out for French pastries after and sit there for 2 hours laughing. I am in heaven up here. And of course, it's got my cool weather, which I really do crave.
Okay.
And I thought, why am I not moving here? And so my sisters have all visited. My high school friend visited.
Yes.
Everyone is saying to me, why aren't you living here? So I'm going to live here. How's that for an announcement?
It's a big announcement. I didn't know we were going to have, I didn't know what you were going to do. I didn't know if you're going to be in Santa Monica. Or are you going to?
Yep.
But let me ask you, are you going to be a lifetime renter, or are you going to be a homeowner?
Nope. So I'm going to be a renter, Vicki, or Dawn. Excuse me.
Vicki
Sorry,
Dawn.
Everyone. Old habits die young. Vicki Dawn. Die hard, I should say. I am going to be a renter. That was part of my wonderful financial planner's plan, was to pocket my house money and to be a renter. And we've got things figured out. So hopefully I can go till the end, have a nice budget for rent. And what I like about being a renter is it gives me freedom to change my mind. It gives me freedom to travel. So yeah, I'm going to be a renter, and God willing, I can talk my friend Margaret into getting me into this apartment because it's fabulous.
Well, does that mean that Margaret will down the road next year sometime be living in San Fran with you, or do you
San
think
Francisco?
You may not get her back? She may be
done. I'm a little worried about that.
She might say, it's been fun, but not that fun, Mom.
Well, I'll tell you, she's with a woman who walks dogs for a living, and so she's putting in about 6 miles a day. I kind of think she's going to look at me and say, "Get me out of here." And so I know she's going to be skinny mini when I see her next. But no, she'll come up here with me. And in fact, it's full circle because I was up here in 2019 when I got Margaret. So she'll be here with me. I'll even be happier with all my friends and my little doggie.
I just love that. That's really great news. And you know what? Goodness, you'll be there for a year or whatever, and probably say, I'm going to start planning another little trip around the world somewhere. So you've got, you're packing up. When do you depart? Well, let me ask you, are you driving to Alaska?
No. I'm going to drive down to Los Angeles this coming Tuesday, the 26th, I think it is.
Okay.
I gave myself a week down there I have a few beauty appointments I want to do. I have a dentist appointment. I'm going to regroup on some of that stuff, see my sister, stay with my sister. and then I leave September 1st for Alaska, and then from then on I fly. So I have a nephew who has a family, has a new driver. He will be happy to take care of my car. His wife's going to drive it, and his daughter's going to drive their car. And so everyone's happy with my planting my car somewhere.
Okay, so they'll pick up your car in the Southern California area?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And then I head out, and
So from Juneau, from Alaska, I apologize.
Yep.
So now we're done. You will not be back in your vehicle for the rest of this year.
Correct.
You're going to go
March.
Go ahead.
Till March of next year, March or April.
Okay.
I'm in Quebec City. I'm going to get the lay of the land and see if I need a car. I think I'd probably rent a car here and there.
Yeah.
But I believe I got a place that's very central and walkable. The only place I will rent a car for the whole month is in Galway, because Ireland is a driving country. I want to get out and get to villages and see. So I haven't arranged it yet, but I will have a car from the day I arrive, and I have to sit in that left-hand side and remember how to drive on the wrong side of the road. But I'll be practicing in the airport parking lot.
Right, exactly. And in London and Paris, you'll do just public transportation.
Metro, exactly.
So you have got a dear friend coming up to Alaska. Is anyone coming to Quebec City to see you?
No, Quebec, I'm all on my own. So I'm going to have to, but I was on my own in Halifax. So again, I'll do my meetings. I'll get out there and talk to people. I'm not afraid to talk to people. London, I've got company, my daughter and her friend. Paris, I've got company, my high school friend, my daughter. January, I've got company in Paris, one of my dear friends. So it's starting. Good. I'm starting to have company then. But I got one more month alone.
You're probably going to, after you have the company leaves, you're going to be like, gosh, finally time to be back alone.
Sit in my chair on my heating pad and not talk to anybody. One of my favorite things.
One of your favorite things to do. This is so exciting, Anne. And again, what are some final things you'd like to share with our audience to get them excited about planning things like this? Maybe it's just one trip at a time.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I want to selfishly plug my Instagram. So I can be found at Travelin with no G _ Anne, ANNE. So at Travelin _ Anne. And I'm trying to put as much stuff on there as I can. It's fun for me because what it allows me to do, Dawn, is when I'm out there and I see a beautiful thing, I think, I should take a picture of this. My daughter makes fun of me. She said, "Is that for your people?" I said, "Yes, my people need to know where I am today." So I've got a lot of stuff on there already. You can follow my whole trip. I am so looking forward to being in Paris. I'm so looking forward to being in London. And one thing to say to people is, I'm not Superwoman. I do get nervous. I'm not nervous about safety, but I'm nervous about the unknown. Mm-hmm. So right now I have an Alaska knot in my stomach, right? I feel like, oh my goodness, I just wish I was already there, but I still have to fly there and find the Airbnb and check in and unpack it. So that part is a lot. Exactly. I do know that in London, I do not have an elevator and I'm on the 3rd floor. So I would like to try to get someone to film me schlepping my bags up the stairs.
Do it.
Because I think that will be hysterical.
Yes.
But I think it's just the checking in part and the getting settled part that is hard work. Other than that, this is doable. Certainly if you live in an apartment and you want to sublet for a time or whatever, I think people can be more creative than they think. And it's worth it. Before the pandemic, I was going to take a road trip. I retired 2 months before the pandemic. And to cut me off if we're out of time, Dawn, I retired in the pandemic and my sisters and I had a road trip planned. And by the end of the pandemic, neither one of them was really up for that road trip. I decided I had to do this while I was healthy and while I could do it and while I could enjoy it. So who knows what the future is going to bring, but I'm doing this now.
And I love it. And, one of the things I wanted to mention, Anne, is down the road. I know you and I both took French through school, and I took classes, out of school, but I've been working on my French just because you inspired me. Not conversational. The irregular verbs are very difficult, but at some point in time...
You can find the restroom. You can find the restroom.
Yeah. Où c'est la toilette? But I'll ping you every now and then on some good manners just to get some conversation going back in French. I think that would be just a fun exchange. We'll pretend we're in a restaurant and I'm the server and you're going to order something like that, just to kind of,
I love it.
Do it voice to text. But so you need to work on that. That's some homework that you have up right down the road. So I'm excited. I'm so happy that we were finally able to book this time together. I wanted to grab you before you went off to your next journey to Alaska and just to find out that when you finish this journey in 2026, that you're going to come back to California up in San Francisco. And that makes me really happy for you, Anne.
And I will happily accept visitors. And I'm hoping to get a 2-bedroom if I can afford it, but I'll always have a couch that can be slept on. So, Dawn, you're welcome in my home anytime.
I cannot wait to come and see you there. And I know some other friends are going to visit you abroad. So really, thank you so much, Anne. Want you to be safe, traveling mercies, have a great time. Audience, look up Anne on Travelin' Anne on her Instagram account. She's fun to follow. And we just appreciate everyone joining us today on the Captain's Table. You can follow us on KABC Talk Radio 790 LA, Facebook, YouTube, Buzzsprouts, iHeart, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast shows. So thank you for joining us today at the Captain's Table. Have a great day.